Okay, all right. I mean, Mr. Garland can release you from your subpoena. I don't know how we could potentially go forward with that unless Mr. Winfrey is in fact before us. So maybe Mr. Garland was being extra cautious and making sure that had Mr. Williams actually, I'm sorry, not Mr. Williams, Mr. Winfrey actually been apprehended or given a bond or to that effect, then we would be able to do something with it.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll just table it for the time being, madam.
Good to see you, sir.
Yes, good to see you as well. Okay, all right. So, Mr. Adams,
Yes, sir.
I've marked the typed letter and your client's handwritten letter as courts 1 and 2. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to go, Mr. Williams? Where are you?
I'm here.
Mr. Williams, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Williams, did you have the opportunity to read and discuss the waivers, that your handwritten waiver and the typed waiver that were signed on the 18th of May of this year, 2022?
Yes.
All right. I'm just going to go through it with you right quick, okay? It references on this particular date, and you are Jeffrey Williams, who's born on August the 16th, 1991, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, it says you consulted with attorney Keith Adams on the matters contained therein, and you state basically as the following, okay? That you are the same Jeffrey Williams charged in indictment 22 SC 182273, and that was the prior indictment in this case. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, you understand that your case has been re-indicted in 22 SC 183572. Have you had the opportunity to speak with your attorney about the new indictment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It also references that you're being currently held, and right now you're in the Cobb County Detention Facility. Is that correct?
I'm in Cobb.
Okay, that's what I said. You're in the Cobb County,
Yes.
Cobb County Detention Facility. And this contains the indictment 22 SC 182273. And that case has been re-indicted, as I mentioned, in case ending 572. So that's correct. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then number 3 says that you've received, read, and understand the charges contained in the reference indictment, and you're aware that you're being charged in the indictment with other individuals. Is that still your understanding?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 4 represents that you're currently being represented by attorney Brian Steele and Keith Adams, and that you've been represented by attorney Brian Steele since the date of your arrest on May the 9th of 2022. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It also references that you have been represented by Mr. Steele in other legal matters and unequivocally desire his continued relationship, and you also established a trusted attorney-client relationship with Mr. Steele. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. It also references that you've had daily meetings and consultations with Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams regarding your case and specifically your defense. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then you've met with Mr. Adams, number 6, independently and outside the presence of Mr. Steele concerning any potential conflicts of interest regarding Mr. Steele's representation of other persons named in the indictment as well as you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 7 references that specifically Mr. Adams has discussed with you the specifics of the State Bar of Georgia rules pertaining to conflicts contained in the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct, specifically 1.7, 1.9, and 3.7. And Mr. Adams has discussed with you thoroughly and completely the issues related to any potential or alleged conflicts in this case. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Number 8 references that based on your discussions with Mr. Adams, you're unequivocally waiving any null conflicts and desire in no uncertain terms for Mr. Steele to continue to represent you in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Number 9 references that you're aware that Mr. Steele has represented other persons in this indictment, and notwithstanding any relationship Mr. Steele may have or may have had with any other person or persons contained in this indictment, you waive any potential conflicts. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then number 10 says that you've met with Mr. Steele and discussed that what we've discussed here. After review, the state's motion to disqualify Mr. Steele as your counsel, and that you have stated to Mr. Steele unequivocally and without reservation, and you state to me, the court, that you waive any potential conflict and wish for Mr. Steele to remain as your chosen counsel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Adams?
Nothing on behalf of Mr. Williams. I believe that's sufficient, but obviously
Anything on behalf of the state?
Your Honor, we just simply like to ask just to confirm whether Mr. Williams has been promised, coerced, threatened, anything in order to obtain this waiver.
All right.
Under
Mr. Williams, just a couple other questions. Have you been forced or threatened or tricked or basically cajoled into signing this particular waiver?
No, sir.
Are you entering this waiver, and did you sign this waiver freely and voluntarily? That means it was your own decision to enter or sign this waiver in this case.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Williams, I would tell you that I will, at this point in time, continue and let Mr. Steele represent you. However, I do, if there is a conflict which develops later, you certainly are more than welcome to raise it. Or if I see it, I will raise it for your consideration and the state's consideration. But at this point in time,